I don't know what's going on anymore, I guess.
Hi.
I'm Jen.
I'm Corey.
And we are
Deep,
dark,
and scary.
Oh. Corey's laughing because we just recorded a good 5-6 minutes.
Our microphone
and we
was
didn't
like
have a mic.
way over here. Yeah. So
I'm sure you'll get to see some bloopers because I just kept rambling. Welcome to our channel. Welcome back to our channel. Thank you for being here. We appreciate you. Please like and subscribe and
smash the bell.
Oh, he censored himself this time. I see how it is.
Beat the shit out of that bell.
That's better. That's what I did the first time. We are reviewing a movie for our cult classic challenge tonight. My choice, MST3K week. Mystery Science Theater 3000. If you do not know what it is, please Google it, and Corey will put a link down below. It is a hilariously Minneapolis, I believe, based movie franchise that is about a man kidnapped and brought into space and put in a capsule or space station with 3 very weird robots, and they are forced to watch really, really bad movies, and they rip them to shreds in a hilarious way, and it is funny.
It's like Beavis and Butthead did with music videos. They do with
they just have
horrible B-rate,
super funny commentary.
Yeah.
So the movie I chose off the list was The Attack of the 50-Foot Woman. The movie was only an hour and 5 minutes. So even though it was
horrible,
really bad, I don't feel as bad about watching and choosing this one because it didn't take up too much.
When I saw the time on it, I'm like, oh, well, at least it's only an hour and 5 minutes.
We've been tortured for much longer, so
much longer.
We're good.
Mm-hmm.
I picked it because I thought the cover art was hilarious, right? And we hadn't really watched anything like it. So I was like, yeah, this is the one.
And this was kind of a classic. Like, there was the Blob and like the second wave
Creature
of like creature features. Yeah. So
there's been a lot of when I was looking up the movie, there's a lot of like not really sequels, but additional movies. Like there's Attack of the 50-Foot Cheerleader, and there was, I don't know if it was fan made. I'll look more into it and maybe have Corey link it in the bottom. There's a Daryl Hannah Attack of the 50-Foot Woman.
I was just gonna say,
like,
I remember seeing the Daryl Hannah one back in the 80s.
I've never seen it.
Yeah, I think it was on like HBO or it had to have been at least so HBO. We didn't have Showtime or Cinemax,
so that's why I picked it. And it starts out, I think like any other black and white 50s movie I think I've ever seen, where it's just a dude smooching a girl in the middle of a bar. And then they start talking about his wife and how they want to kill her because she's got a ton of money, $50 million. They made sure to say that a few times. Mm-hmm. Not just 1 million, 50 million.
Well, I guess in the beginning they're talking about the, spoiler alert.
We're gonna get tell you everything.
So after the opening credits, they're talking about this satellite that's flying all over the world, and then this news reporter gets on the globe and he starts tracking it on a globe, and I'm
and he's like, according to the timeline, it should be here in a few minutes.
It should be over the deserts of California in about 5 minutes. And then this lady just drives up and it lands in the middle of the road, and she starts screaming from like a mile away.
Yeah.
Pulls up
and driving like this, like weaving on the road.
She pulls up next to it and gets out screaming, and I just looked at Jen and I said,
Gonna be horrible.
This is why they didn't like women to drive back then.
He thinks he's funny.
So, yeah.
Well, then you see the satellite, which I don't know why they keep calling it a satellite, but it was like just a ball, white ball
on some strings. And you can clearly see the strings.
Yeah, you clearly see the strings, and it's like hovering down.
And then this ghost guy. Well, you don't know that he's like a ghost guy.
He's a 50-foot dude with a paper mache hand.
Just floppy.
And with these fingers.
Nickelodeon hand.
That's what it reminded me
like on like Double Dare or something. Yeah, this floppy hands comes out and tries to grab her, and
she freaks out, and she's like the town drunk. So they all automatically, the sheriff
assumes she'd been in a loony bin too. So.
Oh yeah, but she leaves her car there after this encounter.
Oh, she couldn't start the car.
Oh,
she did try to start it.
She did try to start it a few times. But she runs back to town and goes right to the sheriff and says, I know you're not going to believe me, but this is what I just saw. And you're going to think I'm drunk, but this is what I just saw. Like, she just kept throwing that in there. I was like, what is this woman doing? And then you find out her husband is messing around with this blonde chick in the bar named Honey. And they're literally like making out, and the sheriff's deputy comes in. And he's like, Harry,
your wife's out there. Sheriff wants to talk to you. And he goes, hands him like a $20 bill, and he's like, tell him I took a cab home. He goes out. He's like, he must have took a cab home.
What? Oh my gosh! It's seriously crazy.
Yeah, and this guy is like total like Don Knotts style deputy.
Oh,
he's
yeah.
Exaggerated.
Very much so.
Yeah.
So basically she like takes the sheriff out to where she saw the satellite, and there's nothing there but her car, which she gets in, and it starts right up, and she's mad because the sheriff doesn't believe her, and she drives off and drives home. What?
So yeah,
okay, whatever.
They go back, and she ends up going home, and the husband's laying there on the couch, which I don't understand how he didn't pass her. If she was on her way home too, how did he get home before her?
Yeah, it's a weird situation.
But she's supposedly like not drinking anymore.
But the first thing she does when she gets home is pour herself
a drink. Yeah.
And then her butler, whose name is Jess, he's like, can I do anything for you? What do you need? Like, super supportive. And then the husband just pops up from laying on the couch.
Yeah, you can get the hell out of here.
Yeah, you can get out. Like, there's no reason you needed to be rude to this guy, but right. Whatever. And then they have a conversation. Harry, who is Nancy's husband, they have a conversation, and it's basically Nancy saying, I know you were at the bar making out with Honey, and
your little hotel
your
Honey.
Little floozy whatever, and I don't know why I took you back, because they had previously separated, and she'd taken him back.
And he was only in it for the money.
Yeah, he's only in it for the money, and he blatantly says that to everyone. Like, everyone knows it.
And his Honey was even like, oh, we should...
She's only good to us dead or recommitted.
Something about, yeah, like, you'll get the money if she dies. And he's like, hey, I know you're not saying we should kill it. She's like, I never said it.
I'm not saying anything.
Maybe I thought it. So...
Yeah, it's this whole thing. They have a fight, and he puts her to bed.
And takes her necklace. Oh, she's got this necklace, this huge
Indian diamond.
Fake diamond.
Or India diamond.
It looks like a crystal off of a chandelier.
It really does. It really does. But he takes that off her neck, and she goes to sleep, and he leaves. And basically dangles it in front of Honey's face and is like, this is what you could have if we figure out a way to get rid of her. And then that's when Honey blatantly says, well, then we need to get rid of her. she wakes up and Harry's not there and she gets mad.
Well, he goes and him and Honey, he goes and spends the night with her at the hotel, and they're like, let's call her psychiatrist, try to get her committed, and once she's locked up, then you can divorce her and take all her money. Or half her money.
Because she ends up telling Harry about the satellite she saw and the 50-foot man, or she says 30-foot man, that came out of the satellite that tried to grab her diamond.
Mm-hmm.
And so right away, of course, he thinks she's crazy and is having another psychotic break. So when he gets back, the psychiatrist is already there, and she comes down and she's like, I know you called him. I know you're trying to get me locked up again. And basically, I know what's going on, and you're not fooling anyone. And what happens after that? Oh, she says, I want to prove it to you.
So they're going to go out and look for the... They're going to go out and look for the satellite. Mm-hmm. And she takes Jess's gun, and they're going to go out and try to shoot this guy that's in there. And they drive around the desert forever looking.
Until right before dark.
Yeah, and then she starts getting, I saw it over the hill, and they go back, and he's like, do you want to go back? And then all of a sudden she's like, there it is! And she goes up to it, and the doors open, the door opens, and it looks like a ghost man, but it's the special effects. They were trying to make him look taller, so they superimpose him in the film. So Nickelodeon hand comes out and grabs her.
At her.
Yeah.
Doesn't really grab her. She's like laying on the ground, and we know, right, the effects are going to be bad. They're nothing like they are today. But you see this giant, wiggly, weird hand come out, and it looks like they're trying to get it to make it look like it's grabbing her, but all you see is her laying on the ground with this weird hand hovering over her. And then
he shoots at it. Harry shoots at it a few times, or like I guess 6 times, because he got a revolver.
He unloads the revolver, and then he gets in the car and leaves her.
He's like,
and all you hear is her yelling, Harry, help me, Harry. And he's gone.
So he goes home, starts packing his shit, and Jess is like, what'd you do with her? And him and the butler get in a fight.
And a fist fight.
And then...
It's pretty comical.
Yeah. So then he takes off, goes to the hotel, wakes Honey up, tells her she needs to pack her shit, and they're getting ready to leave, and the deputy's waiting outside. Oh, we were just taking a trip. She's checking out. And they're like, nah.
Deputy's like, you gotta come down to the sheriff's office.
Yeah, which is like right across the road.
Yeah.
So he's like, hands him a $20 bill. He's like, no, we're just gonna leave me. He's like, not this time. Oh. So they go over there, they're just playing cards, waiting, because the sheriff's out looking for
the satellite.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. And then they end up getting a call, finding her on top of her pool house. So she was back at her house, and the psychiatrist is there with a doctor, and they get her upstairs.
And they give her morphine to make her sleepy, and like they show the nurse drawing up, and then you hear the doctor saying only 0.75 or she could die. And then you see her like measuring, the 0.75 or whatever to give her. And Honey is right there listening to everything because she still wants to get rid of her. So I'm like, all right. I could kind of see that, but the doctors are there because the psychiatrist is there, and he brought in another specialist, a biological something or other. I forget what they called him, but so they're there, and they're like talking, and they say something about some radiological stuff on her neck. She's got scratches on her neck.
Radioactive stuff.
Where the guy supposedly grabbed for her necklace.
Mm-hmm.
Because she swore up and down that this guy was after her diamond. And then when she showed back up, she had scratches on her neck
yeah.
with radiation, whatever. So they go out and look. They want to check out why she just appeared on top of the pool house. And they were looking around, and then they see this giant footprint in the dirt behind her pool house.
Bigfoot.
Yeah, like ginormous foot.
Yeah, and they start following them, and they send Don Knotts out to go man the police station, and if they call, they need some help. But he wanted grenades and the riot gun and
everything.
Yeah,
basically.
So him and the butler go out following the footprints, and they end up getting stuck in some sand or mud, whatever, and they end up seeing the spaceship,
satellite.
The satellite. And during this time, the Nancy had grown like huge, so the doctor and the psychiatrist are like putting chains down, trying to lift her.
They had her, because they had her knocked out with morphine, as much as they thought anyway, right? Because she's still growing and the radiation and stuff. They didn't know how much to give her, so they were just giving her stuff. And at the time, she was knocked out, and they had ordered elephant. What did they say?
Like elephant tranks or something like that?
Well, like the injectors or whatever.
Yeah.
And chains and locks and all this stuff to keep her tied up in her room. And, of course, she wakes up and starts yelling for Harry
they gave
again.
her a little bit of morphine, and they're like, we don't know with her growing.
We don't know if it's going to work.
You hear her yelling again, and by this time, the sheriff had found the satellite, and they go up to it, and they go in to look, and there's all these diamond necklaces in there, and they were going to take the Star of India. They were going to take her necklace back, and then the guy comes out, the 30-foot tall guy, and basically forces him out of the ship, and they fire everything at him, and then they throw a grenade, and
it just kind of it
explodes on
him, but
so he picks up their vehicle and smashes it, and then
he just turns and walks away,
and then his ship flies off.
Yeah, and that's it. And they kind of assume when they're in there, right? Oh, he must have needed the diamonds to fuel the ship. It looks
power
like
the ship, yeah.
And then that's it.
His Infinity Stones,
I guess maybe.
And so then
their car's smashed, so they have to walk back to town.
They try to... It's funny, they try to radio back, and he's like, the radio's shot too. And he throws the riot gun and some other stuff in the vehicle, and he's like, looks like we're walking. So, on his way back, they get a call that...
She had broke
loose, so the deputy is on his way out there, and he ends up running across the butler and the sheriff, so he picks them up, and they... get in the car and they go out there.
All cozy in the front seat, all three of them. Yeah. It's pretty funny. They come across this couple that had been making out in a car, and they ended up seeing Nancy at her 50-foot tall walking into town, and they freaked out and run, and they start talking to him like him and her, this couple, are Lassie. Like, they're not saying any words.
Yeah. Yeah, the couple comes running. They're not screaming anything.
They're not doing anything.
I think they didn't want to pay him to be voice actors,
right? Because the sheriff's just like, "What are you saying? What? Like
she's attacking the.
She's attacking the town. Like there's a 50-foot woman in town.
A giant woman. Yeah. Like, so at this point they had picked up the two doctors as well. So they're all piled into the police car.
The two doctors and the nurse. And they drive to the bar.
And she's there trying to tear up the hotel room that the girl's in.
Yeah, she went to the hotel room
So the big first. Nickelodeon hand stretches into there.
And breaking the window and all this stuff.
And then she goes over and she starts... Her voice is just booming. Harry! And she ends up...
They're drunk. Mind you, Harry and Honey are trashed in the bar across the street. They were dancing...
Oh, and she's like trying to walk. When she's trying to walk there, she's trying to go through the power lines, so the power starts flickering and going out. And when she starts attacking the bar, Honey hides underneath the table, and Harry's out kind of in the open. He starts firing some of the deputies' bullets at the hand.
Because the deputy's like, I can't shoot a
lady.
Lady, yeah, that's what's
He's like, give me the gun, I'll fucking shoot her.
Yeah. Pretty much.
He's firing at the Nickelodeon hand.
Yeah. And then she comes out. Well, then she starts tearing apart the roof on top. And she's like grabbing little pieces, like you could tell, right? It's like green screen, whatever it is.
Well, I think that was like a dollhouse or something that they said, because it was very shoddily put together.
And then she starts throwing pieces inside the bar.
And she squashes the table that Honey's under, so Honey's dead.
Honey's dead.
And then she reaches in and picks up Harry, and when she pulls him out the roof... when she pulls him out the roof,
it's a bald baby doll.
It's a baby doll. You can totally see the baby doll. One of those bald, like the eyes
falling
closed. Off. Yeah,
it was awful.
And she's like, Harry! And then she gets. What did they do to her? Oh, she walks up to like a power line because I guess she dropped him.
They're like the sheriff's consistently like shooting at her, trying to get
her to
drop.
Worst aim ever.
Yeah, trying to get her to drop Harry. Of course, the bullets they didn't affect the guy either. Like none of the gun stuff did. So finally, he shot one of the bigger.
He shot the riot gun.
Was it the riot gun?
He shot a few times, and she was standing behind a transformer on a power line.
So finally he hit the transformer.
And it blew up on her.
She just kind of dropped, and Harry's dead, and she's dead. End of movie.
And then,
He walks up, and he's like, yup, he's gone.
And then I think she might have shrunk.
No?
I thought they showed her at the end, and she looked smaller, but maybe they didn't want to try to superimpose again.
Yeah, it was weird. The whole set was weird anyway. So, like, the hotel room was literally smaller than this room, and this room's small. Like,
right.
You'd fit a twin-size bed in here. Our desk is, that's all it fits in here, basically. So, it's small. You could tell the sound stage had to have been small. Even the bar was tiny. There's 3 tables.
Yeah.
So it was pretty small. But the whole set was just kind of funky looking. I mean, their house from the outside looks really nice, and then they get inside and it's like, that's their house.
The soundstage, yeah.
Right? But, yeah. It was just weird. It was definitely an MST3K movie because the whole thing was odd. Like, Corey's making comments during the movie like they would, right?
Yeah.
And it's just not a good movie.
So, Jen, we watched this movie on Vudu. It was $2.99 to rent. You can also rent it on YouTube for $2.99. You can rent it on Amazon for $2.99, and you can buy it for $9.99 on all 3 platforms as well. So those were the 3 that we actually checked. We rented on Vudu.
I tried to find it on YouTube, and I found the rent or buy option. They did have some free like clips, but they didn't have the whole movie that I could find. I mean, if you want to watch a cheesy movie or like get your friends to watch a really bad movie, this is a good one to watch. It's only an hour. And you could really sit and tear it apart. And
absolutely.
There's a lot.
Absolutely.
A lot. I don't know what you want to say wrong with it or funny, you know.
The effects for me were what every time I saw that hand, all I could think of was Double Dare. And the hand that comes out and smacks you or whatever.
Mm-hmm.
Like,
Yep. Or the wires on the satellite, like.
Yeah. Opening scene and it's flying through. I can see the fishing wire on it.
When I was younger, I used to watch those how they make Star Trek or whatever, you know, and they have the little planets and stuff, and they're all on wires. I'm like, oh yeah, makes sense. Now I understand.
Jen said that she would have given it a 2. I would have given it a 1. So we
ended up
1.5. We met in the middle on it.
I only gave it a 2 because the storyline was legit. It's something I could totally see them doing nowadays, right? Like the dude's out cheating only with his wife.
A little bit better script,
you know.
But yeah.
The storyline was really for me. The acting was awful. Oh my god, the nurse screaming. She just stood there like, It was like Home Alone all over again. That's what I kept feeling like. So,
and a lot of those 50s movies, I think they overdid it. It was black and white.
They're trying to get reaction. I get it.
Mm-hmm. Oh, there was a decent jump scare when they're in the a 1950s jump scare. They're in there looking around, and the sheriff's in there, and the butler, because he puts his hand right here, and that's all you see in the frame is just the hand. I go, that was a 1950s jump scare.
Totally was. It totally was. It was funny, mostly because, we will make fun of them as we're watching them too. So we're like, oh my God, what were they thinking when they did that? Or, did you see that baby doll with the bald head? Like, that was...
I saw it, I go, I look over at her and she goes, yeah.
Yeah, I just saw that too. So, bottom line, would not recommend unless you want to watch a movie to make fun of.
It's an hour. It's a cheap...
Yeah.
It's cheap entertainment if you're looking to kill an hour and spend $3 to do it.
Yep.
Drink a couple of beers. Watch this movie.
You could totally make it into a drinking game even, and every time you see a bad, anything, like bad acting, bad whatever.
Anytime someone says the word satellite.
Yeah. Oh my God, you'd get wasted. You'd totally get chocolate wasted on that.
I want to get chocolate wasted.
Or every time you see a wire. Mm-hmm. Or a superimposed person or anything, like legit anything, you totally could make something fun out of it. But what's next week?
Oh Lord!
Well, it will actually probably be this week because we're gonna try and get some more in, but we'll see.
I think we're gonna try to get this video up on Easter.
Yay,
and it's a full moon, so happy werewolf Jesus.
Oh. Werewolf Jesus. All right.
This video will probably go up on Easter, and the next one is going to come out sometime that week as well.
Maybe Monday or Tuesday, because Corey's off and I'm off, so we'll have a little time.
It's not our favorite category, so...
Oh, so we really want to get it over with as soon as possible.
Mm-hmm. It's anime week.
Oh... I have so been dreading this. You have no idea.
I love Japanese horror movies. I love them. Ju-on, Ringu. I love Japanese horror, but Japanese anime is not. And we're gonna have to watch it. We haven't decided if we need to watch it with subtitles or if we're gonna watch one that's dubbed or if there's one that's native. But I want to do kind of an horror anime, so before I pick, maybe if you guys want to throw some comments down there about what your favorite Japanese horror anime is.
I'm literally dreading this.
I really don't want to do one on like a Dragon Ball Z movie or Naruto or something.
Kind of over it right now.
Yeah. So... we'll see what happens.
That's really all I had to say. It was a short movie, so, I mean, there wasn't much going on.
We talked about the whole movie in half the time it took us to watch the movie.
Yeah, it did. Well, I hope you have a great night. Thanks again for being here. We appreciate each and every one of you. We will see you next time.
Bye. Bye.